Hello friends! So today I'm here to give you guys a short tutorial on how I paint my whimsical roses. I have been asked several times by you guys to show you how I paint my roses, and so today I'm gonna be showing you how I paint something sort of like this. There's several different ways to paint, and you can go a little bit more into detail. This is just one way that I like to paint my roses, and it's a super easy way. You can use it for door hangers, just such as this one. You can use it for anything really. And I paint roses like this on furniture. You know, this one has a little bit more detail, but you can still kind of see that it's the same concept. I'm going to be showing you how to create these beautiful whimsical roses, so I hope you really like my tutorial, and it's simple enough and easy for you to follow. So I'm just going to start off by painting all my canvas black because that's the color that I chose for this one. But the canvas can always be any color you want, so I start off by painting the background all the time and going from there. Some of this wood it's kind of dried up, and so it absorbs my paint quite a bit, so okay, just like this. And then now I'm going to add a little bit of blue to my canvas. Just to make it pop a little bit. I like the dimension it gives. So I'm just going to add some random spots of blue. You don't have to be very careful with this. You just kind of add them wherever you think. I'm going to be making my rose in the middle, so it's going to cover most of that middle part, but I wanted to give it some dimension. Also, I want to add a little bit of this. I'm going to be using this green turquoise in my leaves and things, so I kind of want to add a little bit of that to it. And also a little bit of this fuchsia pop. Like I said, just for a little bit of dimension. So, and I'm not washing my brush or anything. I'm just kind of dipping it in my paint in random spots, and I'm just kind of smearing it all in the front. It's not anything too detailed or anything like that. I'm just kind of putting them wherever I think it needs it. It just adds a little bit to my painting, so. And I'm trying not to smear it too much to where it's gonna blend my paint completely. So, like, I still want to be able to see these colors there. There we go. And then I'm gonna add just a tiny bit of fuchsia pop as well. Same concept. And this one's just a little bit. There we go. Just a tiny bit, just to bring that color to my canvas as well. All right, now you can wash your brush. I'm gonna go ahead and dry my paint just so that we can go a little bit faster. So I'm sorry if it's loud. This is the time to add more if you need to, or just leave it the way it is. I'm gonna leave mine the way it is. And now what I'm gonna do is I start with my leaves first. My leaves are in the background, so I always like to start with my leaves. I kind of like to map out where my flower is gonna be and how big it's gonna be so that it takes up the most space, or so that I know exactly how much is going to be in the middle. So I kind of like, I guess, eyeball it to see where my rose is going to be. You can take a piece of chalk and draw it out on there if you want to, or just kind of mentally picture where you want your rose to be. Depending on if you're just going to be making one or if you're going to be making multiple, you can choose that way as well. Because see, like this one right here has multiple, and it takes up a little bit more of the space. I like to work in odd numbers most of the time. So if I'm going to be adding 3, it's kind of like this, or like in a triangular shape or something like that. But I still kind of just want to know more or less where my design is going to be. So I'm going to be drawing out my leaves around where that area is going to be. And don't worry, if you draw your leaves and you kind of go inside to where the flower is going to be, it's okay, because you can always paint over that over them. So I'm just going to be painting kind of a little bit of like a sprig sort of. And I'm just going to go around my canvas sort of kind of mapping out where I want those leaves to be. So, and like I said earlier, the color I am using for this is the green turquoise. Okay, and so right now we can see that my rose is going to be going kind of here in the middle. I do want to add a few more leaves, so I'm just going to kind of go in random spots and add a little bit more to my painting, more leaves. And so here on these little sprigs, I'm going to go ahead and add my leaves to it. I like to add like 3 or 4 leaves to them. Most of the time it's 3s. Like I said, I like to work in odd numbers. So, and right now you're not really worrying about the details too much. You're just kind of making leaf shapes, and it's okay if you overlap in some areas, and just like that. So anywhere that you would think a leaf would be, I like to add a lot of leaves to my flowers. And you're just making shapes like leaves. Remember, this is a simple painting, so you cannot go wrong with this. Okay. not taking a whole lot of time drawing these out. It's just very loose. You can draw everything that you want on here with a chalk if that would make it easier for you. I just don't. This is the way I do it, so. And I think I'm gonna add one more leaf over here to this side. And there you have it. There you have it. I'm gonna dry it a little bit and go over it one more time with my green before I start to add any of my details. And I'm using a round brush for this in case you wanted to know. This is a number 5 from DecoArt. All brushes are sized differently, so just any round brush that you feel comfortable using, that you like, works well, I think, for leaves. Okay, I'm gonna go over my green just a little bit more, and just to give it a second coat real quick. Since I did use a black background, it makes the color just a little bit darker than it should be, so I like to give it a second coat. Okay, and there's my leaves. Later on, I will be adding more colors to these leaves. Right now, I just wanted to kind of keep the shape where I wanted them to be, and so we're gonna go from there. We're gonna move on from these. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add the background of my flower, this flower right here, and I'm gonna be using the color Fuchsia Pop from DecoArt on this one. And for this flower, you're just gonna kind of want to be random, I guess. Every flower has petals, so what I do is I kind of make like a little squiggly line like that to begin with. It doesn't have to be that squiggly, but it's not going to be a completely round circular shape. So you do want a little bit of the petal shape kind of scalloped, I guess is the word. And I'm still using this round brush. You can move to a bigger brush if you want to. I also like to use the like a filbert, something like this one that has the tip rounded and it's a little bit wider than my round brush. So this one's a good one to use as well. Whatever makes it easier for you just to make the petals. And this one, you're just gonna fill it all in. I like to fill in mine in like a circular form because it helps me kind of picture the way the flower would be already. So roses are very circular and they have like a little middle, I guess like a middle darker part, I guess, because that is where the flower, the center of the flower. So I kind of like to picture that where that would be. And so I like to use my paint to kind of help me picture where that darker spot would be, the center of my rose. And so I just like to fill in my rose just like this with my paint. Not too much paint at the very beginning because you're just kind of wanting to fill in for now the background, but I do want to give it coverage. So I want to cover over where I put my leaves and stuff like that, because like I told you earlier, if you go in too much, you can still cover where the leaves are. So that's what I'm doing. I like to cover a little bit of where the leaves are starting. Just like that. And now let's dry this really good, because this is just our base. It's already starting to kind of take shape and look like a flower or a rose. So what has also helped me is that my background is black. You don't have to paint your background black, but I like to start off with my darkest color first as my base. So the color that I feel like would be the background color or the real color of my flower is the color that I like to use as the background of my rose. And then I'm gonna add right now I'm just gonna add a second coat because I do want it to have a little bit more coverage, but I'm gonna kind of avoid that dark spot in the middle. I'm just gonna kind of go around it, and in little C shapes I'm gonna be adding my petals. They're just little petal like shapes. Nothing difficult about this at all. You're just going to be adding little C shapes to your flower, and I still have been leaving some of this dark behind, if you notice. And roses are all about layers to me. That's just kind of how I've always done them. They're just layers. So it's just little C shapes with layers. Okay, now let's dry this up a little bit. Let me add a little bit more to this. Right there. Let's dry this up. Okay. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a little bit more of a lighter color. So right now for this one, I'm gonna be using the Diva Pink. It's just a tiny bit lighter than the Fuchsia Pop that I had been using. And I just want it to be a tiny bit lighter. Just to bring a little bit of a dimension to the petals, so they can pop a little bit more. And for this, I'm not going to be covering this whole rose. I'm going to be kind of going where the petals that I've already made, where the shapes, and just kind of adding just a little bit of highlight to those areas. If you can see what I'm doing, is I'm just adding highlight to some of those petal areas. And the same C shapes, going in the same circular motion. This is just to give a little bit of a highlight to the petals and to make them look a little bit more realistic. Okay. Right here in the middle, I always like to add just like a little bit of a curved area to kind of look like it's coming out of that center spot. So just a tad bit right in there. Okay, now let's dry this. Okay, and we're gonna go back to using our little round brush for this part, because now we're gonna start adding more details to it. So on my flower, if you notice, I have a lot of different colors on it. So I have gold. I also have some of this green color that I have on the leaves. I have white. And I also put a little bit of purple in mine, which I'm not going to do for this one. I think I'm just going to stick with that Fuchsia Pop. And then, of course, black. Black is the very last thing I do. But for now, what we're going to do is we're just going to start adding a little bit of detail. And I like to use, if you want to go the route where you don't have all these colors, I like to use a lighter color to do. So I'm going to use the 3 different colors of pink, you know, the darkest, and then a little bit kind of medium, and then I'm going to do a tiny bit of a light pink. So if you notice on this rose right here, I've got several different pinks. I've got 3 different pinks on this one. Okay. I'm going to show you how to do that real quick. I added a little bit of this baby pink to my palette, and I'm just going to add in certain areas. I'm going to add this baby pink because it can go kind of bad if you start adding too much of this, because it's already looking like a rose. So this really is just for like a highlight. That's why I changed my brush to a smaller one, and that's only because you're only going to be adding a little bit of detail to your flower. You don't want to be adding too much of it. And if you think that that's too light, mix it with a little bit of that medium color to make it a little bit darker. I think mine's a little bit too light. So I'm going to go back over that and kind of darken that just a little bit. And we're still going to be going in the same direction as we had been, and with the same little C shapes, same little way, except this you're only going to be adding a tiny bit just for more dimension. Okay, and you're still just adding to the top of the petals. This is where your petals kind of form, sort of. You can kind of see where, you know, they're taking a little bit more of a shape. Just like that. There we go. And that's all the pink I am going to be adding. And now, like I said, on this one I have a little bit of the turquoise on there, or this teal green color, and then I have some gold and also some white. So I'm going to be adding a little bit of that as well, just to bring that teal color into my rose. And for this, it's really just small little gashes. Like, it's not, you're not adding petals or anything like that. This is all just for the shape, just to kind of give it a little bit of an illusion that it's got different colors. And so you're still going to be going in that little circular shape and just kind of adding it to wherever you feel like it needs it, that you want it to kind of pop in, that you think it would look pretty. This is just for aesthetic purposes. It's not to make your petals or anything like that. So you're just adding a little bit of that turquoise to it. Very small bits. Okay. And then now I'm going to add a little bit of gold to mine as well. The color of gold that I'm using is this folk art metallic pure gold. And this is also just to kind of make your petals pop a little bit. So not anything major. You're just going to add for detail wherever you think that you want it to pop on your rose. less is more when you're adding these details. So the last thing I'm gonna add is I'm gonna add a little bit of white. A little bit of white to it, and the same, just a tiny bit, just to make the petals pop just a little more. You're not trying to cover any of the colors that you've done previously. You're just adding a little bit of a highlight. That's it. And each color that you're adding is just adding to the dimension of the flower. Go. All right. Now what I'm gonna do is with my same round brush, I'm gonna add something to the leaves, and I'm gonna be adding some bright green. This one's called Parsley by Ceramcoat, and it's just a bright lime green color. And this one I'm just kind of just adding anywhere I think I want a little bit of a highlight to my leaf. So just like that. Just like that. Just like that. Okay. Now I'm gonna add a little bit of the fuchsia pop to it as well. And this is just another little bit that I want to add to mine. You don't have to add it to yours, but I just kind of wanted to add some of my pink to it as well. I like the way it looks. When you mix all the colors, so I like that. Okay. And now lastly, I want to add a little bit of gold to it as well. In the same exact way. And the gold, I'm just adding it over my green just a little bit to make it shine. Just anywhere you think that you might want the gold on there. Okay. Now what I'm gonna do is, before I add white to my leaves, I want to go ahead and do the black. And for the black, I'm gonna use a thinner brush, which is, you can use a liner brush, anything skinny. I like to use something like this. for my black, let's see. We're gonna start with my rose, and what I want to do is I want to create the illusion of a circular pattern on my petals. So this is what I do. I make kind of like a little spiral just down in the middle, and then from there I'm just gonna kind of take the petals and kind of make a little bit of a petal shape going around my circle, just like that. Okay, and for this you're just going to be adding petal shapes, not a lot, just several. Just like that, in a circular manner. Sort of like that. Just anywhere that you think there would be a petal. Just like that. I like to go around my flower as well on the outside, creating the petals. There we go. And if you think you need to add a little bit more. But this is basically what it is. This is basically it for the rose. If you need to add a little bit more details to it at the end, but once you add that black, that's the last pretty much detail that you need to add. Now I want to add a little bit of detail to my leaves. Some of them, you know, I want the centers, I want a little bit on the shape, just kind of add a little bit of that black, not to outline them, but just to add the little bit of a pop of black as well. Once you start adding details like this is what makes the whole painting, I feel like. You know, the black outline, the white pops. And if you can notice, I'm not even going straight on the green when I'm adding the black. I'm just adding it kind of whimsically, just adding it to the top of it. I'm not being too careful with where I'm putting it. As long as it gives you the illusion that it's a flower or a petal or a leaf, that's all that matters. That's why this is an easy painting, because it's very simple and just kind of free-flowing. There we go. That's our black. Now I'm going to add a little bit of white to my leaves. I may go back in and add a little bit of white to my rose if I feel like it needs it at the end. But I want to add just a little bit of white highlights as well, just to random spots. Okay, I'm gonna go back in and add just a little bit more white in some areas here. There you go. And that is how you paint a rose. At the very end, once this is completely dry, you can choose to add glitter to it, anything like that. I added glitter to mine, and I, of course, sealed it so it's got like a shinier cast on it. I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit of these white dots to the end just to give it a little bit more of a pop, but pretty much that's it, guys. I like to add the white just randomly, just anywhere that I feel like it needs a little bit of white. So like right here, for example, and I'm just adding little polka dots, just like that. I don't want them facing exactly the same side, so like you see me that I'm moving my paintbrush all around so that it's different shapes. There we go. And then add a couple more over here. There we go. If you want to add more, you can add more. Like I said, once this is completely dry, you can add glitter. My favorite is Glitterific by Folk Art. I like the way the glitter is just, there's chunky pieces on there. I don't know if you can tell, but there's like chunky glitter and then there's very fine glitter. So it's all mixed together. And I really, really like that. So something like this would be great for this. Anything you want to add to it, if you just want to leave it just like this, this is completely perfect as well. This makes a good shelf sitter, a good little frame if you want to frame this, anything like that. This is also a very great Mother's Day gift. Don't forget to put your signature if you paint one and give it to your mom. She would be super proud. So there it is, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope this tutorial helped you guys out to know exactly how I paint my roses. So see you guys next time. Bye-bye.